You know, one of the reasons from day one that I urged the House Republican leadership, John Boehner in specific, to immediately establish a select committee to investigate the IRS was to ensure that the best legal, investigative, and prosecutorial minds they have among the Republicans in the House would be on such a committee. And if the Democrats want to participate, great. If they don't, fine. If they want to obstruct, that's their problem. But with a majority, the Republicans could move ahead. This is a very, very serious scandal that cuts to the heart of the Republic. I mean, this is like the old Soviet Union, this stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, had that committee been set up immediately, timely, rather than committee chairmen tripping over themselves as they have, these disclosures now would have a different consequence for the agency and for these individuals from the commissioner on down. Now, as you know, I run Landmark Legal Foundation, and we litigate cases like this. And I want to read something to you, and then I want to tie it to what's going on in Congress, and we'll play some audio, but I want to put some information on the table that you may not know and you may not have in terms of how this could have been handled. This is from a Washington Compost article, July 24, 2003, almost 11 years ago. A federal judge yesterday held the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in contempt for violating his court order by destroying computer hard drives and deleting emails of the agency's top officials in the final days of the Clinton administration and beyond. U.S. District Judge Royce C. Lamberth ruled that agency officials, through a mixture of ignorance and egregious inattention, failed to comply with his January 2001 restraining order that the agency preserve and protect its records concerning environmental rules written in the final months before Bill Clinton was to leave office. Lambert's order was issued January 19, 2001, one day before George W. Bush's inauguration. A conservative group, Landmark Legal Foundation, had sued the agency in the fall of 2000 to turn over public documents on the rules. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, we have to expect these departments and agencies in the hands of the left are going to violate the Freedom of Information Act law, are going to obstruct Congress, and are going to continue to try and operate in the shadows to advance their radical left agenda. Then EPA Administrator Carol M. Browner had her computer hard drive destroyed on the same day the order was issued. That was a finding of the judge. And Deputy Administrator W. Michael McCabe deleted emails in the days right after. Then General Counsel Gary S. Guzzi did not alert top officials or staff about the order, nor did the U.S. Attorney's Office, though it was handling the case. The judge's contempt ruling means it was civil contempt. The agency will have to pay Landmark's legal fees, Lambert decline, and so forth and so on. So the Environmental Protection Agency was held in contempt. And the reason was, early in September of 2000, we sought information about the regulations that the Clinton administration was preparing to issue right before it would leave office. And my concern was that they would destroy the records. And so we had filed for, in essence, a motion for a protective order, or if you will, a restraining order, to put the EPA on notice that it was to leave its hard drives, its backup servers, physical documents like emails alone, and make sure they're preserved and destroy nothing. And you want to lay the predicate, lay the foundation in court with a judge who signs an order because they refused to respond to us. And we went into court and said, Your Honor, it's been since September. They will not comply. They will not respond. We proposed an order through our motion, and he signed it. That now meant if any of these items or any of this information was destroyed, wittingly or unwittingly, the EPA was now on the hook. And if we could find individuals who were aware of the order and violated the order, they would be on the hook for potential criminal contempt. It depends on the mens rea, the state of mind, if you will. And I won't get further into the weeds. That would make it much, much harder when a federal judge holds somebody in criminal contempt. The U.S. Attorney's Office, the Department of Justice, can't just blow it off as a political issue. They have to act on it. Because then, It's the judicial system, the court, the judge, him or herself, versus the perpetrator, versus the violator. And how many times, those of you who listen to this program, have I said, did I say from day one, we need a select committee with people who know what they're doing to take on this agency, the IRS. I and Landmark Legal Foundation have taken on the IRS before. At the same time we were fighting with the EPA, we were fighting with the IRS. And we got thousands and thousands of pages of documents that showed that members of Congress were trying to prod, push, threaten the EPA to investigate individuals and political groups they didn't like. This was 10, 12 years ago. It was published in the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Times, and Investors Business Daily. It was all over the place. The members of Congress who were pushing it, and here we are again. This is what I mean. I get so frustrated and furious with the Speaker of the House and the rest of them who do not know how to conduct these things. To wait and wait and wait for a select committee on Benghazi. And you will recall that it wasn't Congress that got this ball rolling. People, Tea Party groups, they were going to their members of Congress. They were begging members of Congress. They were saying we were being abused by the IRS. Look at these questions they're asking us. Oh, they sent letters to the IRS. Well, it's the IRS. That's the problem. So I sent a complaint to the Tax Administration Division of the Inspector General's office at the Department of Treasury. And I don't have the power to subpoena. I don't have the power to call witnesses. I don't have the power to depose these people. And they came into my office at Landmark, 2 of them, armed, interviewed me for an hour, and launched their investigation that's led to all the rest of this. I'm not patting myself on the back. I shouldn't have to do this. Congress is supposed to do this. So now what are they going to do? Hold somebody in contempt? And what's Eric Holder going to do? Nothing. They should have laid the predicate in federal court. It was ultimately the Supreme Court that ordered Nixon to turn over tapes, despite Congress's threats. Do the Republicans not learn from history? Do they not know how to conduct investigations? Do they not know how to deal with a scandal that's staring it in the face? This IRS commissioner, the former IRS commissioner, this Lois Lerner, they should all be facing criminal contempt as far as I'm concerned. The problem is the stage wasn't set. The legal foundation wasn't created. I'm not playing Mr. Lawyer here. I'm telling you how it works. But they wouldn't do it. I wish this wasn't the case, but today it is the case. And the reason you bring the courts into the system is because when something like this happens, it's an order, basically a preservation, a restraining order. You preserve X, Y, Z, A, B, C. And when something like this occurs, whether we like it or not today, this is the way it works. You want to pull in the courts. You want this to be a violation of a court order because then it's an attack on the judicial system. Then the judges get their backs up. Then they insist on action. And then the U.S. Attorney, the Department of Justice, can no longer ignore it. I've called for a special prosecutor for day one, but I've also known that Eric Holder is corrupt. He's not going to appoint one. Now, we're going to play some of the audio. You've heard it throughout the day, but you haven't heard me comment on it, respecting some of what went on today at the House Ways and Means Committee. And you're going to hear an IRS commissioner and a Democrat party that doesn't believe in the rule of law. They're in full obstruction mode. They're in full cover-up mode. And at least for now, there's not a damn thing we can do about it. Because the executive branch won't act, that part that can. The courts are not involved, so they're not even watching. It's committee members who are upset, rightly so, beating the table, beating their chests, frustrated as hell. And I'm telling you that this was hugely mishandled by the Speaker of the House, the then Majority Leader Cantor, the then Whip McCarthy. They blew it. And they blew it big time, because this is one of the great scandals of the century. The Sovietization of the Internal Revenue Service to use against people who you disagree with, their views, their politics, their religion even. And Congress sits there. We have John Koskinian, or whatever his name is, the IRS commissioner, at the hearing today being questioned by Dave Camp. Cut one, go.
What I didn't hear in that was an apology to this committee. I don't think an apology is owed. Not a single email has been lost since the start of this investigation. Every email has been preserved that we have. We have produced or will produce by the end of this.
You don't think the time period between January 2009 and April 2011 is relevant to this investigation?
It is a very relevant time.
All right.
Hey, look, we haven't lost anything. Never lost anything. We lost all the emails. We lost the hard drive. We did this. We did that. We haven't lost anything. Not a single email has been lost since the start of this investigation. Notice his language. Since the start of this investigation. Now, some of you who are very sharp might say, well, Mark, they claim that this hard drive was damaged, crashed, recycled prior to the start of the investigation. Now, those of you who have been listening to this program, you know all these IT experts who've been calling who say that this information is elsewhere. The recipients have it. People copied on emails have it. Blind copied on emails have it. There are mirror systems in place. There are other backup systems in place. This shouldn't be catch me if you can. These members of Congress are not experts. This is where you get into it in front of a judge, and the judge orders production. The judge orders production. Well, Congress ordered it too. The problem is Congress has surrendered its enforcement powers. It's surrendered it. And on top of that, if they hold somebody in contempt, they give it to the U.S. attorney who kills it. If the U.S. attorney kills a referral from a judge, the U.S. attorney can be disbarred. So there are personal and professional consequences for a U.S. attorney who's a lawyer, or an attorney general for that matter, defying a court order, him or herself. But we're not in that realm now, you see. We're in the, are you telling me this? Are you telling me that realm? Now, in the end, that's not going to get us anywhere, is it? It's not going to produce a damn thing, is it? So we haven't lost a single email, he says, since the start of this investigation. Great. So where are her emails? Well, you know, the hard drive crash. I didn't ask you that. She received emails from people. She sent emails from people, unless she's just corresponding with herself. More Dave Camp, Republican Michigan, questioning the I.R.S. commissioner. Cut 2, go.
If the I.R.S. knew in February or maybe even March, and Treasury and White House knew at least in April, but Congress and the American people didn't find out till June, were you purposely not telling us?
No.
Were you purposely not revealing this to the American people?
As I told you, my proposal was, and in fact our original thought was to complete the Lois Lerner email production, complete the review of what other custodians had a problem, and produce a report to you.
So why did the I.R.S. inform the executive branch agencies, the White House, the administration, but kept it secret from the Congress, who was conducting an investigation?
We were not keeping it a secret. It was our public report to you that has, in fact, provided you this information. There's been no attempt to keep it a secret. My position has been that when we provide information, we should provide it completely. If we provide you incomplete information, people sometimes are tempted to leap to the wrong conclusion, not based on any facts. So we thought it would be important to give you the full description.
So it's okay for them to leap to a conclusion.
Pardon?
It's okay for the White House and Treasury to leap to a conclusion 6 weeks before the Congress.
This is a pathetic outrage by this I.R.S. commissioner. If you're under investigation, you alert investigators immediately that information that they are seeking cannot be found, has been destroyed, somebody has done something with it. You don't wait to do a report at the end. He and his agency knew enough to tell the Treasury Department, which then told the Oval Office, the White House. But you don't wait for a complete report to give to Congress to tell them, hey, all these hard drives are destroyed, and we recycled them, and all this, we're going to work on it. This is damage control. This is spin. This is disgusting. This is a disgrace. Turns out this guy heading the I.R.S., this commissioner, let's see here. He was the former CEO of Freddie Mac. Isn't that great? They just recycle these guys. And I'm sure he did a wonderful job over there from September 2008 to December 2011. So when the I.R.S. commissioner said, that's him, that he doesn't feel that the agency owes the public an apology and that he is willing to stand on the agency's record, let's hope that record's a bit more sterling than Freddie Mac, as writes Beckett Adams over there at the D.C. Examiner. And speaking of the devil, the I.R.S. commissioner, there was more today with Dave Camp and John Kusnekin. Cut 3, go.
Your letter describes the Lois Lerner emails as being unrecoverable.
Correct.
But fails to mention where the damaged hard drive is today. Do you know where the actual hard drive is that crashed in 2011?
I'm advised the actual hard drive, after it was determined that it was dysfunctional and that with experts no emails could be retrieved, was recycled and destroyed in the normal process.
So was it physically destroyed?
That's my understanding.
So was it melted down? Do you know?
I have no idea what the recycler does with it. This was 3 years ago.
Yeah, try that with an I.R.S. audit. Oh, that was 3 years ago. I don't know what the hell happened to my records. I'll tell you what it is. It's at the bottom of the Potomac River. Hey, we're a green administration. We recycle. You know, we had to burn it into a zillion pieces. It's recycled. They destroyed it. And Dave Camp's upset about it. And they should also be talking to their speaker for failing to have a select committee. And Dave Camp is chairman of one of these committees. And look, I'm not dumping all over the guy, but isn't it not amazing to you that here's a chairman of a committee who said, where's the hard drive? You mean we don't know where it is? I mean, what did it have? Well, you destroyed it? Yeah, we destroyed it. It's been 3 years. Why is the chairman of that committee, just finding this out? Because it wasn't handled the right way. That's right. And I don't blame Dave Camp. And I don't blame Paul Ryan. And I don't believe the chairman of this, that, and the other. I blame this stubborn, ignorant Speaker of the House who resists a select committee to investigate the Internal Revenue Service. And what the hell do you think all the recipients of these emails have been doing? Destroying stuff, too. And they can do it with impunity because there is no penalty. Zero. The more you tell them you want, the more they know what to destroy. That's the point. Here we go again between these two. Cut 4, go.
Will you support the appointment of a special prosecutor?
There are 6 investigations going on at this event.
Yes or no?
The IG is already investigating.
Can you give a definitive answer to this committee? Yes or no, do you support the appointment of a special prosecutor?
I do.
I'm controlling the time. I'm asking a question that can have a simple yes or no answer.
I think
regular order.
I think the appointment of a special prosecutor after the 6 investigations ongoing and the IG investigation into this matter ongoing would be a monumental waste of taxpayer funds.
So is that a yes or a no?
That's a no.
Can you believe this? First of all, you hear the muttering by the Democrats. The Democrats support totalitarianism. Let's get that over with right now. They're the ones pushing Obama to raise the debt ceiling in violation of the Constitution. They're the ones who are very much enjoying what's going on, the third world refugee issues we have now on the southern border. They figure those are voters. They don't mind that the EPA is unconstitutionally issuing regulations, destroying industry after industry. They cheer on their president as he goes on and on, I've got a pen, as if he's Mussolini. They like all this. They are totalitarians. That's what they become, like it or not. They do not represent the people. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, we have bumblers. Bumblers in the leadership who should be taking it to these bastards, but they don't know how to, or they don't care to. The I.R.S. commissioner? Of course he doesn't want a special prosecutor. That would require a grand jury, and his ass would be dragged in front of it. But he sounds like a liberal Democrat on the committee. There have been 6 investigations, an IG investigation, and you still didn't cough up the hard drives, pal. You still kept it secret, pal. And you released information about the first one, the Lerner hard drive, about this time last week on a Friday. What a hack. What a fraud. Paul Ryan at the hearing today. He's not the chairman. I believe he's the number 2 on this committee, Ways and Means. I think he's in line to be chairman. Cut 5, go.
You are the Internal Revenue Service. You can reach into the lives of hardworking taxpayers, and with a phone call, an email, or a letter, you can turn their lives upside down. You ask taxpayers to hang on to 7 years of their personal tax information in case they're ever audited, and you can't keep 6 months' worth of employee emails? And now that we are seeing this investigation, you don't have the emails. Hard drives crashed. You learned about this months ago. You just told us, and we had to ask you on Monday. This is not being forthcoming. This is being misleading again. This is a pattern of abuse, a pattern of behavior that is not giving us any confidence that this agency is being impartial. I don't believe you. This is incredible.
I have a long career. That's the first time anybody has said that you do not believe me. I
don't believe you.
Good. I have to say, Paul Ryan was very aggressive. And Paul Ryan will be on this program in about 5 minutes. I haven't talked to old Paul in a long time. We've had our disagreements. But on this, we agree. And I want to focus on this. This is the greatest scandal that I can remember. The IRS, just as you folks know, you don't need lectures from me. It's not just any agency. It's the agency with all kinds of power. And it was granted all kinds of power by the progressives over 100 years ago and every decade since. You're guilty until proven innocent. You're required to report on yourself. You're required to collect information. You're required to retain information. That audit letter comes to you. It is nerve-wracking. It's expensive. They've got IRS auditors sitting in every major corporation in this country. Do you know that? They're given offices. 1 or 2 or 3 of them. Constant audits. They can seize things, and then you have to fight to get them back. They can make your life hell. And when they're politicized, and when they're abusing their power to affect the outcome of an election, we must draw the line, ladies and gentlemen. And so I believe the legal issue is much more difficult now. We still need to keep drawing attention to it, or this one will go the way as all the other ones.